If I can just start just with the COVID numbers today, and of course it's really pleasing again to have a 0 day in relation to community transmission as well as also in our quarantine hotel program. We had over 18,000, in fact 18,100 tests that were undertaken yesterday, which is just a great effort by Victorians, and can I again just thank all Victorians who keep coming out every day to be tested, and remind people any symptoms at all, as mild as symptoms, please come out and get tested. It's really helping to keep us safe. Today is an opportunity for both myself and Emma Casa from CQV to talk about the quarantine arrangements that will apply for the Australian Open. Not to talk about the tennis bit of it, but to talk about the quarantine arrangements that we are putting in place. So from Thursday this week, from 5 p.m, we have 15 different charter flights that will land in Melbourne that will bring around 1,200 players, support staff and other tennis officials to Melbourne. And they will then begin the process of going to 3 different hotels in Melbourne. One is the Grand Hyatt, one is the View, which is in St Kilda Road, and the other is the Pullman at Albert Park. And I want to thank those 3 hotels. I know it's been a challenge for them, and I thank them for being part of this program. They've had to transform their venues, and I had a chance to look at the Grand Hyatt yesterday. They literally have had to transform their whole venues in terms of the bubbles and in terms of cushioning and carpets, and the whole thing has been transformed to make it a quarantine hotel. My starting point really is that we are assuming that every single tennis player that arrives and their officials has the potential to be positive. So our program has been designed around that potential. And how do we ensure that if there is a positive case, that there is no risk to the Victorian community? We have put in place the strictest rules that apply for tennis across the world. I mean, there are bubbles that are operating in Doha at the moment, but this is the strictest program in the world in terms of hotel quarantine for our tennis players. So can I just take you through a little bit about that program? So firstly, it is identical at the hotel. It is identical to the program that we run at every other mandatory quarantine hotel. You cannot leave your room. The tennis players are, actually I should start with saying, before they leave the country they're in, they must be tested and they must have a negative result. For those who find out they have a positive on the plane, they are immediately put into health hotel when they arrive here, and everyone who is with them is treated as a close contact. So that's the first risk that they take in coming here as part of this program. Secondly, they have to stay in their room. We have RSOs like we do at every mandatory quarantine hotel on every floor. Every emergency exit has an alarm system, so we know if anyone attempts to go out that way. We have police on site, and of course we have our health services on site. Those health services are Aspen Health, and all up we have 1,500 staff, the combination of police, CQV staff and Aspen Health, who will be providing support and services to ensure that this is the safest quarantine program in the country and in the world. Secondly, for those who come who are not tennis players or their one support person, they do not leave their room for 14 days like everyone else. So only after the second day, if they have tested negative, again when they've arrived here, will a player and their one support person be allowed to come to training. This is one example of the training facilities that will be available. This side is for one hotel, the other side is for the other hotel, and the Albert Park tennis courts are for the third hotel. There is no mixing between hotels. There is no mixing between players and their support person. So they will have a bubble, so one player will hit up with one other player and they'll each have one support person. As I said, they are tested before any training commences. No training will commence before a negative test and not before day 2 after arrival. As part of anyone who leaves the hotel, so the player and their support person is tested every day. And again, that is like our staff in the program are tested every day, right through from the bus driver right through to the RSOs and the event support people here and Aspen Health staff and Victoria Police members. So this is a tough, a strict program. As I said, it is the toughest in the country, in the world, and it is also limiting how many people they can bring, who can come with them, who does what with them. And I know, the players have had trepidation, but I know Tennis Australia have done a lot of work, as have a lot of the Australian tennis players, to ensure that the players are very aware of what they're facing here when they come and the importance of the arrangements that we are putting in place. So from Thursday we will have tennis players in mandatory quarantine who won't then start to train until Tuesday unless they have a negative test on that day. So I'm very confident in this arrangement. I think we have put in place a consistent arrangement across all our hotels. We have the trained staff, we've got the infection prevention and control arrangements in place, and the Chief Health Officer has signed off on each and every aspect of these arrangements.